Media Boutique.
Welcome to beer tasting number 99, the eve of beer tasting number 100. And we finally, after all these many years, we can finally talk about Moon Underwater. Now, my history with this brewery is relatively short. My history with this brewery goes back to when I was bugging Cassandra, who used to work here and moved to Vancouver, to send me bottles of Driftwood Fat Tug through the mail. She kept telling me about like Moon Underwater about 2013, 2014, saying, hey, you really need to try this. Hey, you need to be drinking this beer. And she just started throwing cans of it in like the cases of Driftwood Fat Tug that she was mailing to me. Nicely done, Aaron. That was not a camera effect. That was Aaron wanging his head, his big fat head on the camera. So well done there. But yes, I've loved this brewery for ages. This was a story that I think we're going to start seeing here in the next few years, and we kind of already have, where Moon Underwater got its start in Victoria in 2011 when they actually found a different microbrewery that had failed, and they just bought it up kind of lock, stock, and barrel and opened under their own name. We're tasting 3 beers from their core lineup tonight. We are going to be tasting their Pilsner. We're going to be tasting their Hip as Funk IPA, which we're going to talk a little bit about this and maybe a little bit of my own history with home brewing, and then we're going to be talking about their Moon Juice Raspberry Sour. This should be 4 Moon Underwater beers. Yes, it should. If everyone is pointing out, hey, wait a minute, there's only 3 beers here. So, yes, I know. There's no kegs. There's only 3 SKUs on all of Liquor Connect for this brewery. I just got really excited when they showed up and had to have them. Maybe next week we'll get a 4th one, and I could have done a 4 beer tasting, but I just wanted to do this as quickly as humanly possible because I love this brewery. So let's get some Potts Pills in our glasses, and let's talk a little bit of Moon Underwater Brewing. So this is a very classic German-style Pils. The hops are kept relatively in the background. It's very kind of stiff upper lip, bracing a bitterness and kind of cheesy earthiness from the hops. You get that nice stiff nose from that kind of very herbal hop note. And yes, I basically have my nose back. Thank you so much. I can actually smell things again. Green screen? What green screen? We certainly don't have a green screen. Not for the promo for beer tasting number 100, certainly. Definitely not. That would just be silly. Nice camera work, Scott. You pan out just so I say there's no green screen. Thank you so much for that.
Right when you were looking around too, just cut.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, that's some excellent camera work right there.
Thank you.
I would like to point out that Aaron is in the bathroom at the moment, so this was all Sky. You know what? For a German-style Pils, now let's talk a little bit about German-style Pils. It's supposed to have a little bit more residual sweetness. It's supposed to have a little less hop aroma, a little less bitterness. That kind of nails it. It's rich, it's cereal, it's round, it's mildly sweet. You can kind of get that decoction mashing style out of it in the sense that the grains taste caramelized but not overly candy sweet. The hops tend to be, and again, my palate's not 100% back, but it's close. They tend to be spicy, into a little bit floral, into a little bit soapy, nice earthiness right through the mid-mouth. Oh, that is very green. I'm actually watching the tasting in the background on my phone. I'm seeing like just how violently green that is.
Yeah.
And you know, considering it's just tissue paper from my gift wrapping station, like badly scotch taped together 10 minutes before we shot the promo,
It's pretty.
that doesn't look that bad. We did a
good.
good job, you know, sketchily taping, you know, tissue paper to our scotch section.
Especially from like back here where the cameras are.
It looks
hard to
okay?
tell. Yeah,
Good.
100%.
Ah, yes, Sean has discovered leaky glass syndrome about Pilsners. Me as well. Pilsner just tends to slither down the throat a little too easily. Spoiler warning for Beer Tasting 100. It's going to be widely focused around Pilsners. And yeah, cheesy's correct. Like, I get a real Parmesan rind, but also like tea-like more than anything else. I get a real like Earl Grey tea note off of the nose here. Well, as we often do with these beer tastings, I mean, I love Moon Underwater. I thought they were incredible, but let's be fair. One of the things that I've learned over the last year is don't meet your heroes. Between Mikkeller's incredibly problematic recent last 5-6 years, between AleSmith showing up universally wildly stale, which, by the way, I still haven't been bloody paid for. Thanks, AleSmith, with your stale ass beer you won't pay me for. You know what? I loved Moon Underwater, but when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, we should get like 3 flats of each. And then I had this real like, oh, but I've said that before, and it really bit me in the ass. So we will, having had these in advance and how good they are, unless somebody wants to point out some like horrible tweets where Moon Underwater is like really behind the Freedom Convoy idiots, then I think we're pretty safe to bring these in because the beer's really, really above board. Ooh. You know, there's something in there, like an ashiness, that kind of reminds me a little bit of like Speyside Scotch. Like it's a mild, it's not quite peat, but there's something in there between like the green notes and there's something in there that reminds me of Speyside. And I know you dicks are doing something fun with the green screen. I can see you conspiring.
Works pretty good.
You know, I can see the bloody screen on a tape delay, but still.
It's got a good sound feeling. It's not bad. Yeah.
Ooh. You know, the more I like this, the more I actually find this weirdly serious. I would say with a lot of the Pilsners we've had, between Part-Time Model or Five of Diamonds or any of the other pills that we've really tasted on the channel, they've always had that soft, fruity, pretty note from the lager yeast. This, on the other hand, this tends to have a little bit more of a serious take. I don't really get those pretty fruity notes. In this case, the lager yeast is just dry and clean, and it's not really showing any of the ale notes. It's very neutral. That's a cool background, guys.
It's pretty good. It looks great.
It you know what? Considering how incredibly quickly we put this up, so I will say we were all standing around here about 5:30, and we have to be like ready by 10 to 6. We were standing around here at 5:30 wondering what we were going to do to make the promo for the 100th beer tasting special, and we were saying, oh well, what a shame we didn't bring a green screen, and then Aaron just went behind the sales counter and like grabbed a big ream of green tissue paper, and we spent like 5 minutes taping this monstrosity together, and now it's a green screen, and oddly enough it looks really, really good, so we will definitely have this for the 100th.
It's like pointing at it as if you can see it. Yeah, it's amazing. You should do the weather.
Oh my god, Aaron. Yeah, there's something here for me too, Craig. Paradise, maybe? There's something kind of dusty, cheesy here that it's not typical pills, at least not typical North American pills. I know the head brewer for these folks did their apprenticeship at Bitburger in Germany. I don't think I got a haircut. I think I'm just balding. So, you know. Yeah, that was really classic. That was really pretty. It's not always the style of Pilsner I'm looking for, though. Okay, so let's move on to Hip as Funk. Now, this is one I want to spend a little bit more time on, just because this reminds me so strongly of the 5 or so years, I did a lot of all-grain homebrewing. When I got into homebrewing, the style of beer that I liked IPAs, I liked saisons, I liked wheat beers. And I was like, hey, I'm just an idiot with a garage and a fridge and, enough money to do this recreationally. Let's try combining saison and IPA and wheat beer together. And I actually came up with something that I thought at the time was pretty good. I used Y yeast, French saison yeast. I used a combination of like Simcoe, Cascade Centennial, and then French Strisel Spalter, because I was an idiot and spent all the money on French Strisel Spalter. I liked a fair bit of unmalted wheat and actually triticale in my grain bill. And this is kind of the same thing. So they're using some Brettanomyces, they're using Pilsner malt, they're using saison yeast, and it's hopped like an IPA. And this is very similar to what I was doing as a home brewer, and this tastes a little bit, it tastes a little bit like what I was doing, except made much, much better. That is definitely the background for Craig, yes. And yeah, this is a killer wild IPA. Like, this is all of the flavors I like. We talk about things that, I've had some input on making, and I've bought barrels from Scotland into D2D, but it's very, very rare that you find something that it reminds you of an idea that you thought was a completely unique thought that was just for you and you brewed for yourself. This genuinely tastes like what used to be my house beer out of my garage fridge like 10 years ago. This is just for me, and I absolutely love it. Ooh. There's less bitterness here than I would have thought. There's a real phenolic character. There's plastic here, of course. And that plastic is coming from the saison yeast, naturally. There's so much going on here. Like, The hops, if anything, are muted. I mean, as an IPA, I'm not sure I'd call this really like a standout IPA. Aaron's still drinking his tall can of Taco IPA by Snake Lake, which is better this batch, actually. They dial back the lime a little bit, and I think it's a little better. But I'm not sure the hops really shine through enough to call it an IPA, but I think everything else makes up for it.
The hip.
Tastes pickly in a good way.
And also that label. My God. Oh, it does taste pickly,
Do you think pickly?
Yeah, there's like a pickle brine kind of element to it.
Is it the dill? Like, there's definitely some fresh dill here, but it's not over the top for me.
Nope, it's not offensive. It's like kind of salty and briny.
It's salty, briny, and I get the saison yeast thing, and I get the Brettanomyces. Yeah. Like, the yeast to me in the nose, even though it says farmhouse IPA, it's dominant in the nose. I get soapstone. I get almost something kind of aspirin-y. I get that very saison yeast characteristic. It's also got this incredibly pervasive head.
Totally.
This is something that I would want to sit on a patio with all night. Like, buy a 4-pack of this and just enjoy it through the evening. Like, I'll be honest, I can crush a 4-pack of IPA in about an hour and a half very easily. This, I don't think I could. This would take me like a few hours to get through 4, and I think I'd enjoy it more. The friendliest use of Brett, yeah, like, this is very giving. This is very generous. This isn't closed off. Now, as much as I like the trial and ale stuff and some of the barrel aged projects from Establishment or whoever, they are very much designed for beer geeks. I think this is to a point. This is not a beer that's going to appeal to somebody who, like, they had Night Gallery as their first ever IPA and loved it and then wants to jump straight into this. This is still going to be scary, but if you've had, say, Four Winds Juxtapose, or you've had Driftwood, or you've had 5, 6, 8 different IPAs over the first year you got into real beer. Let's say you're 24 and you drank Bud Light the first 6 years you were legal, and you're now getting into real beer. this probably wouldn't be your first IPA, but I could see this being kind of a logical extension. Sean, you think that the hops are coming off classic West Coast? I don't agree for once. And again, it could be the fact that I had COVID not too long ago, but no, I don't find that classic West Coast hoppiness. I'm getting like spice and pepper and soap.
Totally.
And I think that's all from the yeast, the combination of Saison yeast and Brettanomyces. And I'm really into it. This tastes like my keg of homebrew. And the Brettanomyces was not deliberate on my part. It's just because I wasn't a very sanitary brewer.
Soap. But the soap flavor.
I like that though. It's refreshing to me. Thrills. I was actually gonna think like the weird bucket of soap berries that I don't know what to do with when you go to like a bulk barn, and they have that wonderful smelling like bin of soap berries. But I also know that soap doesn't come from berries, so I don't know what soap berries are.
Right.
But they smell really good, and you walk by and like you stand next to them, and they smell really nice.
Yeah.
And you look at the coffee and you're like, bulk barn coffee? Do I really want bulk barn? No, I don't. But yeah, it reminds me of those. It's got a very particular aroma to it.
I kind of get the sweet tarts. There's like a perfumey element to like the end of the sweet tarts that you get with this.
I can't remember the last time I had sweet tarts, but I'll follow you with thrills. Yeah.
Sweet tarts and thrills do the same thing with that.
Okay.
Lavendery like.
I don't really eat candy, so.
Sure. Use your imagination from your childhood.
You assume I had a childhood. I wasn't born 35 and angry like Mike Malloy, but you know. No, Mike Malloy came out of the womb like with a lit cigarette and angry at the world at 35. But, I did not. But I was never like, look at me eating my ice cream as a child. No, that was never really me. That's really nice. I'm really coming around to. Okay, I liked this brewery. I knew I liked this beer, but I'm almost liking it more and more the longer this goes on. Horsey, earthy flavor? Yes, definitely for the yeast. And I would say that the horsey flavor is definitely for the Brettanomyces. The earthy, some of it will be from the hops, some of it will be from the Saison yeast. IBUs? I'm not sure. If it's not declared on the can, I don't know. This goes back to my old axe to grind with brewery websites not declaring the basic facts of their beers.
I think.
Do you see it on the can, Aaron?
No, not there, but the website's got it. This is not it. Their website is.
Yeah, the website's not great. Yeah, I know, it's really bad, and it's like 3 pop-ups asking to join the mail list or whatever. Yeah, it's not great.
And also it doesn't say, no information about the IBUs.
Okay, so let's take a break here and talk a little bit about Beer Tasting 100. I know I'm breaking a little early here, but people have, Battle of Alberta hockey games to get to, so I am kind of speeding this up a little bit so that people can get to whatever watching party they want to do. I know that I am the entertainment of the moment, but a lot of people have other things to do with that game. So let's talk about next week, Beer Tasting number 100. Well, I wanted to do Italian Pils, and then all of a sudden, everyone and their mum decided to do an Italian Pils. So we have Pontificato. We have the brand new packaging for NX's Idle Hands. But we have the brand new collab beers. One is a collab between Establishment and Daggerhead called Where Is My Mind? And the other is between Dandy and Fernie, a collaboration I never thought I'd see called Insieme. And all of these are in this Italian Pils category. So these high hop, high bitterness, kind of American style Pils, but even louder style. a style that I really, really love. I probably think I probably enjoy New Zealand style pills more, but Italian pills really for me is right up there. I adore Idle Hands. I adore Pontificato. I've had this on tap a few times now. It's fantastic. We're actually going to have this on the Growler Station starting on the weekend. These are really, really special beers. They fit really well with everything we've learned over the last 2 years. This is perfect.
Complementary color palette.
Is it?
Correct.
And then, well, you know, we've done 4 beers for $20, but it's Beer Tasting 100, so this kind of ties in with the tasting we did last week when we talked about Phantasm and different hop adjuncts and hop additives. Well, this is the cheat code. 88's brand new hazy IPA with Phantasm. And you're saying, wait, isn't that basically just like dial-up? More or less, yes. But this, I love dial-up. I will always love dial-up. It's like coming home for me. It pains me to say it, but cheat code is actually a better IPA, and that's hard to say. But this is really special, and I had to include it largely because of the conversation we just had last week about Phantasm. This is exactly what I want to drink as part of our 100th anniversary or 100th beer tasting. So,
but there's more.
And yet there's more. If you buy the Juicinator today, you will also get Blood Brothers White Lies. This is a brewery that I would love to someday, if I get a giant corporate sponsorship from Blood Brothers, do a tasting of, because these cans are $6.81 my cost without GST or tax. If I had them on the shelf, I'd have them like $8.95, which is kind of half the price of a beer tasting. We will never be able to afford to do a Blood Brothers tasting unless it's like 2 beers. But, well, they're really, really important, and they're kind of Canada's, I don't want to say most innovative brewery, but they're really, really close to the top of that list. I would certainly say it's Eastern Canada's most innovative brewery. And I really wanted to talk about them. I wanted to showcase this brewery somehow. And, well, Beer Tasting 100, where we are openly accepting that we are losing money on every tasting pack, well, that's just the right time. So, this is White Lies. Their sour ale with El Dorado and white wine must. I did get a chance to try this in advance. It's spectacular. So, what's the core tasting next week? Italian Pilsner. What are we adding on? Really cool IPA, really incredible sour that we really can't afford, but screw it, it's Beer Tasting 100. It only comes around once.
100.
So, here we are.
I got some color.
You have some color comparisons? Thank you.
For you there.
I mean, they're not really in the same style, so the color comparison in this case is not strictly necessary. Right. I'm also surprised how, like, is this 1-2, Aaron?
1-2, in order, yeah.
I'm surprised how clear that IPA is. Like, I would have expected that to be cloudier, to be honest.
It is useful.
See, Kyle? There's use for it.
Yeah, there we go. Hopefully Fernie helps Tandy make a good non-sour. Mean, but, I mean, not unfair, but...
Nice.
UCP leadership vote tally watching party. Oh. Does anybody have an additional 4 credit cards to buy 5,000 votes with? Sorry, this is probably very, very boring viewing, but I am just reading.
We're in color cam.
Oh, good. Good.
Color can.
Okay, I think we are caught up. So, let us continue on. We will do the Moon Juice Raspberry IPA, or Raspberry IPA, Raspberry Sour. Now, I'll admit, this has been my least favorite of the Moon Underwater beers. Not because it's bad, but just because this one reminds me of, the tastes of home from 10 years ago, and this is an excellent Pils. This is lovely. This is a lovely, delicate raspberry sour. Lots of flavor. Smells like raspberry jam. Has lots of acidity that keeps it bright and fresh and interesting. And it tastes exactly like fresh raspberries. It's perfect. But I kind of... Also, Sky just drank the color glass. Nicely done, Sky.
It's okay. It's just for color,
Just for color.
There used to be that much in it.
Yeah, there used to be more in the glass.
Oops.
Well, I wanted to make 100 special, and this is actually a discussion that Aaron and I had, is how can we make this special? Well, we're still going to make some calls, see if we can get some special guests. We kind of didn't do that earlier this week that we probably should have, mostly because we were both really busy. I would like to have announced a couple special guests tonight, but I couldn't because I didn't really get started on it early enough.
It's all good.
We
man.
still want to have some people attending. We're still going to do 6 beers. It's still going to be great, but look for some special guests that I couldn't announce tonight because I didn't get my ducks in a row early enough.
Guess which guests.
Craig and Eric. Picture of Craig and Eric. Just a second.
Well, where was this when you're drinking warm McKellar piss? Well, I know which tastings to give away, don't I? It's the nice part of being me. Although I will admit, I really had high expectations from McKellar and high expectations from AleSmith. Much like I had high expectations from Moon Underwater, and at least 1 out of the 3 delivered, so good. And yeah, it's a very pretty color. Like it's kind of peachy and salmon colored. It's delicate. The raspberries just all over the nose.
It is actually. You want to zoom into something nice here? Just a second.
It's a lovely color.
Okay, ready? So, ding, ding, ding. Where do you want it? There?
Megan, I'm glad you love this one because I also love this one. I think these are maybe more correct because this just tastes like raspberries in the most cheerful way possible, which is great. I love that about it. But it just tastes like raspberries in the most cheerful way possible. It could do more, which I think these do. But I mean, how do you not like moon juice? It's just delicious. Oh, and Craig and Eric are available. Aaron, you might be off the hook for green screen week.
Oh, well, there's still going to be a green screen.
Well, obviously there's going to be a green screen. We set it up already. We're going to very carefully take it down in the morning. Eric, you'd love standing between me and Craig bickering as we like yell across you. Okay, that's probably very fair, Eric. Yes. Ooh. There's something here that's kind of coming off like vanilla to me. And I don't know where that's coming from because they don't declare vanilla. The category 12 sour that used raspberry and vanilla obviously declared it. Jamrock declares it. This doesn't. This does have a distinct vanilla note to me. Aaron, are you picking that up as well? Like, do you get vanilla or is it more indistinct for you? It might be the water. That's a good point, Eric. It could be the water. I'm so sorry, Sean. That sounds like a very long night.
Vanilla's tricky.
The vanilla is tricky. It's a delicate aroma that doesn't translate everywhere. Yeah. and more strawberry as you go along. Yeah, I mean, I also love the label that where they've just got a faucet on the moon, but that's really good sour. I mean, arguably, and this is where rankings become really difficult. I love this in my heart because it reminds me of my homebrew. I love this because it's a great Pilsner, but if I was going to buy one of them, I'd probably buy the Bloody Moon juice. It's the least complex of them, but it's also the most pleasant. And yeah, strawberry, raspberry, bubblegum.
Yeah, that's really good.
It's really, really stupid good. And I'll admit, when I first tasted these, like bang, 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 all in 3 minutes just to pick the tasting order, I wasn't blown away by this. But the more I have this, the more I like this.
Really good.
Yeah, I think all of these are going to be on our shelves next week, like full time for this summer.
Hell yeah.
Okay, before we jump into the Mezcal Gose rankings on the 3 Moon Underwaters, I really had my rankings set before I went in, but this by a mile, then this, then this. That's 1, 2, 3. That's pretty clear to me. This is just so much fun. We will have all of these on the shelf next week. That's a giant win for Moon Underwater. And the first, like, Meet Your Heroes brewery that I didn't hate. So, 1 out of 3. Aaron, same opinion?
Just give me a sec here. I'm on other business.
3, 2, 1 for Craig. Terry loves 3. And that's an interesting point. I mean, the sours are such a new style. A lot of breweries are... I don't even want to know what you're laughing about, Aaron. So many of the sours are a new style. Oh, God damn it. I'm so glad we put in the green screen.
Can't help my stupid self.
Oh, Kevin goes the other way. He goes 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 1. But I did want to comment on Eric's point. Yeah, you're right. I mean, this is such a new style. Maybe we're just at the very beginnings of the whole origin or the whole evolution of this style. Maybe we don't know what good sours are in this style yet, and we're still waiting for the great ones to come to the fore. I would say that, like, Pump Up the Jam is a great sour, but, you know, maybe in 5 years, Pump Up the Jam is going to be left in the dust, kind of the way that Blind Men's New England Pale has, to a certain point, been, where everyone agrees that it was a foundational great beer, but things have moved on. I really struggle to think of a lot of beers that have weathered that to the point where they're still considered like a reference beer still to this day. But yeah, interesting. Do we know how old the Moon recipe is? No, because their website really sucks, and when you Google things like Moon Underwater Brewery history and everything else, usually you can find like a shitty like local newspaper or something that just has like, you know, something run by the local Chamber of Commerce that does a profile or something. It has like a bad profile of the brewery. Nothing. There's like no information online about these cats. They have no information on their website. No like bad local newspaper has done a profile. There's just nothing. This is listed as a year-round brew for them on their website, as much as you can determine, because like they say they have 6 year-round brews, and the top 6 beers seem to be those brews. Yeah, like, this is another one of those things where, hey, I'd like to do a brewery profile tasting about your brewery. Maybe have some information about you on your website. It's not a 1 paragraph about us. Or, hey, maybe you could have like some articles about you online from somewhere. It's sometimes very difficult. Okay, so let's change gears entirely. This is 33 Acres. We did a tasting with them like a few weeks ago. This is their Mezcal Gose at 5%. We tasted this last week. Or the week before, we all absolutely lost our minds about it. We all absolutely love it. This is as close to the perfect sour for me as it goes. We brought in 8 flats of it this morning, and we've already sold 3 out of the 8. We are really, really big fans. And Deirdre's like 3. Yes, Deirdre, you're not wrong. Okay, so tasting this, it's like an absolutely fantastic like tequila sunrise, or I love this style. Wow. Okay, so Tyler has definitely had this in the last little bit. Aaron, your thoughts on this? And I know you are the dissenting opinion.
Yep.
You don't like this because you suck.
Whoa. Didn't expect that.
God, it's limey.
It's so limey and it's so mezcal-y.
I really like that.
I adore it. Like it's
Yeah, that's good. That's some
Smoky.
good summer drink.
it's smoky
It is
because the
good. I'm
mezcal. It's so pretty. It's everything I like about a mezcal sour or a mezcal margarita.
This is a mezcal
except
margarita.
it's a mezcal margarita, except it's a beer and it's better than a mezcal margarita.
Right.
Yeah, I really love this.
I would drink that on a hot summer day for sure at the beach.
I know. I would drink that then or now or tomorrow morning for
Whenever.
breakfast or like at church. I don't care.
At church. Yeah.
Good
Go
color.
to church
Hey.
beer.
That color. Let's look at the colors here.
Are we looking at the
Color.
color? Well, I mean,
Wow.
I don't think that there needs to be a color comparison for
color.
our mezcal margarita beer.
Well,
Sean brings up an interesting point, and he's not wrong. There's a lot of lime
Yeah.
candy here, like lime Jolly Rancher.
I think that's what hurt me the first time. I'm over it now, but boy, a salt rim or like just a salt flake would do this like a lot of good, man.
I think you're right. I think a little bit of salinity would go a long way. I really like this. And the point I wanted to make with this beer particularly is just how much I'm loving the experimentation. Like, also, I needed a 4th beer and I loved this, so, you know, it was in the tasting automatically, but we also bought all of it in Alberta. But I love how experimental things are getting. Like, this really bridges the gap for me between, is this a beer? Or is this like a mezcal margarita RTD, ready to drink, that's kind of beer based? And there's a lot of beer based coolers out there. I mean, it's not just Zima anymore. There's lots of beer based coolers between Bud Light, Seltzer, whatever else. This kind of bridges that gap between being a really cool, interesting sour beer and also being kind of edging into that RTD category. Sean, I completely agree with your decision. I would never criticize that. That is a good idea. And yeah, the barley is lost here. It's a great drink. Is it a great beer? I mean, yes, because it's delicious. But on its merits as a beer, well, we're all going to forgive it its perhaps failings as a beer because it is delicious. Do you think, Aaron, your favorite thing tonight?
Jeez. I think the Potts Pilsner was my fave.
Yeah?
Yep.
Sky?
Definitely a moon juice.
Definitely the moon juice. And I'm actually going to come down on this, so I like that we had a little bit of a divide there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's 5%. Like, it's not even strong. And Damien, I see with your everything is 4. I'm kind of in that camp too. I really like this. But I mean, there's nothing bad on the table. Like, I would struggle to rank these overall. Like, I love the sours. I love this for nostalgia. I think this is one of the best Pilsners on the market. How do I really compare? How do you compare apples to oranges to whatever the hell this is, the Oldsmobiles? It's such a different lineup. I love how different all of these things are. And, I mean, we just bought the province out of this, so we are definitely going to have more of the... Aaron, you just want a green screen every week, don't you?
I do. This is great. I'm just going to run the promo in the green screen now, and that's going to be the way it is.
I actually think this tastes less strong than 5%. I feel like this could be almost alcohol-free. Like, this just disappears in the mouth. I don't think you can reasonably rank this. I love this. I love this. I have big feelings about that. This is classic. Yeah, Aaron's doing his best. He's got this. All right, folks. Well, I said I would end off early so everybody could get to the Flames-Oilers game, and so we will. So everyone can get to their hockey destination. So, it is 6:45 or thereabouts, which is when I wanted to finish this up so everyone could do their Battle of Alberta things. Next week, beer tasting number 100, and oh, what a tasting that will be. It will be the triumphant return of the green screen, which we're going to leave up tonight so Mike can be really upset about it tomorrow morning. But we will see you all then. So, until May the 25th at 6 o'clock. We will... Shush. May the 25th at 6 o'clock. We will see you then. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And next week, beer tasting number 100.
Hell
Good
yeah.
night.